Let's step to the top of our mats, hands in Anjali Mudra. We'll tuck the tail, lift the belly, and bend knees. Sweep arms up overhead for Utkatasana, grounding to the feet, and lifting up through the torso, feeling energized through your arms. Deep, full Ujjayi breaths, and then we'll dive all the way forward for Uttanasana. And let's hang heavy and allow the hamstrings to open. About 2 more long, slow breaths here. And slowly warming the hamstrings. Inhale, flat back, fingertips to floor or shins. Exhale, step left foot back, set the knee down and sweep your arms up for Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step right foot back, plank position. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And feeling around. Returning always to breath. Step your right foot forward, left foot forward, take flat back, and exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, stretch your heart forward again, and exhale, fold in. We'll do this a handful more times. Inhale, stretch your heart forward, exhale, fold even deeper. Inhale, heart forward, exhale, fold. Inhale, heart forward, exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen your spine even more, look forward, and exhale, step your right foot back, set that knee down, and sweep your arms up overhead for Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back plank, exhale, Chaturanga, inhale to your upward, and exhale, downward facing dog. Returning to Ujjayi breath, feeling around in your skin. Step your right foot forward, left foot forward, flat back, and fold. Let's put a bend back in our knees for Utkatasana, but stretch the arms forward, sitting very low. Then reach your arms up overhead and try to get vertical with your torso. Finally, rooting down to stand, Anjali Mudra. Come back to Utkatasana, stretching your arms up above. Lift your left knee in towards your chest and we'll find eagle pose. Left leg over right, left arm under right. Squeeze in nice and tight and stretch your arms up as you sink your hips low. Take another breath or two. And then we'll unravel for standing splits. Hands to the mat, left leg high. Aiming to square hips here. You can find that alignment by tapping your knees toward each other and then stretching your left leg up above. Keep rolling your left toes into your midline. Feel the pull at your inner right thigh. And then slowly place your left foot at the back of the mat, sweeping your arms up and overhead for peaceful warrior. Left hand tracking down left leg, right arm stretching back. Enjoy the deep lunge and an opening through your chest and shoulders. Reach back. Exhale, right hand to the floor outside right foot. Left arm up and across your ear line for Uttita Parshva Konasana, side angle stretch. The whole left side body lengthening all the way out through your fingertips. Hands to the mat. Back knee down, right leg straightens for half Hanuman or half split fold. You can wave down the length of your right leg or just hold the pose. This is intense on the right hamstring muscles. Bend into the right knee now. Bending left knee too. See if you can reach around and grab hold of the foot or toes. If you can't, you can take hold of a strap or just forget it. Bend your left knee a little bit. If you'd like to go deeper, you have the option to take your forearm down to the ground, rolling your right shoulder open. Let's release. Hands to the mat. Right foot halfway back for a couple of handstand hops. These are optional. You can always just head in through Vinyasa or see if you can catch a little hang time. And if you do, slowly lower Chaturanga, meeting in downward facing dog. Come high up on tiptoes, bend your knees, look forward and step or float. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold. Put a bend back into your knees for Utkatasana, headed to eagle pose. Lifting our right knee, cross it over left leg, nice and tight. Right arm underneath left. Snuggle in, and then stretch your arms long as your hips sink low. A breath or two. And begin to unravel. Drop fingertips to the mat, right leg stretching as high as you're able. To find nice hip alignment, tap your knees toward each other. That'll lower your right hip a little bit. And then stretch your right leg back up. Enjoy a few breaths. Hopping right foot to the back of the mat. Swing your arms all the way up. Peaceful warrior. Right hand tracking down right leg. Left arm stretching back. Sink into your left knee. And keep some power in your core as you tilt back and open through your heart. Finding Utthita Parshvakonasana, left hand outside left foot, right arm up and across your ear line, aiming to extend as long as possible all the way out through your right fingertips. And keep spinning your chest toward the sky and letting your right shoulder blade fall down toward the spine. And we'll roll both hands down, planting your back knee, preparing for half Hanumanasana with a flexed left foot. Take a good bow over your left leg. You could stay here or wave your spine forward on inhales and exhale to get a little deeper in. For more intensity, pull your left hip back a little bit. And in time, we'll stamp the left foot on the mat. Bending the back knee, reach around with left hand to grab this foot. You could stay here or deepen by sending the right forearm to the mat and opening with your left shoulder and spinning your chest toward the sky. Let's release. Taking hands to the mat, step your left foot halfway back for a few little handstand hops if you choose. Take your shoulders above your wrists and aim to keep your left leg pretty low. That'll encourage nice tail alignment, and when a tucking of your tail, tipping in and back with your belly and ribs. Squeeze your arm bones together, a lot of weight at the inner hands. And in time, we'll find Vinyasa. And returning to Ujjayi in downward facing dog. High up on tiptoes, put a bend in your knees and look forward to step or float, and flatten your back and fold down Uttanasana. Bending your knees, take arms wide just to interlace fingers at the low back, tuck tail, lift chest, and then dive over straight legs for a rotator cuff opening, and about 5 breaths here, enjoying. Inhale, stretch heart forward, fingertips to the mat, and we'll widen our feet to sit down low for squat. Hands into the heart, elbows help knees wide. And folding forward just a little bit, plant your right arm in front of the right shin and stretch your left arm up to the sky, squeezing your shoulder blades together, getting as open as you can through your chest and front shoulders. Only if it suits you, you might find a bind here, grabbing your left wrist with your right fingers or just locking fingers. Keep rolling the left shoulder open for this. And release, come back through center. And stretch your left arm forward and wide to the left shin. Keep it planted and stretch your right arm up to the sky. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, feel the back muscles engage, and then only if you won't close off in your right shoulder, go for your bind, either fingers touching or maybe you can find your right wrist. Keep swiveling your heart up toward the sky and creating space where you can. Let's release. Hands to the mat, we'll straighten legs, parallel the feet about hips width, and find Padangusthasana, stretching your heart forward before you fold all the way in. Once in, align your elbows with your shoulders and let them go wide if they're slack. Keep lifting your shoulders up and away from your ears to get spacious through your neck. And tilt your sitting bones high to find even more length in your hamstrings. And we'll inhale, stretch our hearts forward, hands to the mat, shoulder width, preparing for crow pose here. High up on tiptoes, planting your knees as high up on your arms as you possibly can. If this is old hat for you, try straightening your arms completely. Your shoulders will lean in front of your wrists, and that's okay. Keep squeezing your heels towards your butt and engage the bandhas. Deep breaths. And then we'll either step or hop it out to chaturanga, traveling through vinyasa and meeting in a downward facing dog. In downward facing, stretch your right leg up, stack your hip and bend your knee. Get gloriously open, and you might look forward and up and over your left shoulder to see if you can glance at your own toes. And we'll roll the right knee forward, plant this foot between hands, grounding back heel, rise up for Warrior One. So much power through your arms and between your arms as you square your hips forward. Feel the opposing pull of your legs grounding down, but your torso, arms, and even fingers stretching heavenward. And come low, and we're going to tuck our right arm underneath the right leg. So it's kind of like a lizard, but we're bound. If it's too much to grab your left wrist or fingers, you could always take your hands to the mat. Even set your forearms down for true lizard. But if you have this, keep squaring your chest down, squaring hips down, so it's not side angle bound. In time, step your left foot to meet your right foot, and we'll stand on up for bird of paradise balance. Get hold of a drishti point as soon as you can, and lift tall. Maybe you can straighten your right leg. And wherever you are, create space, create height, and breathe slowly. And we'll set it all the way down. Good. Kicking left leg back up, come back to a standing split here. You might just keep that funky hold on your right leg, but you don't have to. Make it comfortable. Good. Setting your back leg down, back foot down. We'll make our way into triangle from here. I'm playing with a little bit of a bound triangle, but didn't like the way it felt in my hips, so I'm going to let it go and just touch down to the floor or shin, stretching left arm high to the sky. You might stay bound if you like. But let's get as long as we can to the left side ribs, and if you want to deepen, take your hand to the back of your head. Get open, open, open. Bowing over right leg now, let's take a slight hop forward for square hips, stretching the heart forward, and then placing your left hand outside right foot for rotated triangle. Keep the power and the height in your left hip, and tuck your right hip back as you extend through your spine, growing away from your pelvis. Both hands down. Tuck your right foot halfway back, preparing again for handstand hops if you choose. Maybe tucking your right heel to your right butt this time. If you catch a little hang time, cool. Maybe you just take a few hops. Maybe you skip this part. Do what feels natural. We'll set it right back down. It's coming right into Ardha Chandrasana. Right fingertips under right shoulder. Balancing on the right foot, but mostly your heel, so drift weight backward a little bit. Keep power in your lifted leg too. And we'll slowly step back, find warrior two, arms wide to a T, stretching away from each other, but softening down through shoulders. Reach back, stretch back, and roll down, hands to the mat, stepping through Vinyasa flow. Making your way back to downward dog, enjoy the fullness of each breath. Be connected to every part of your body as you move. From downward dog, second side, stretching our left leg up. Let's stack the hip, bend the knee, and open, open, open. Kind of like a scorpion tail. Look up and past your right shoulder to see your own toes. And roll this knee in towards your chest and plant the foot, grounding back heel. Come right on up into Virabhadrasana 1. Square hips, powerful legs. Stretch your arms up, up, up. Keep moving your ribs and tummy back in space. And imagine there were straps between your arms, so the energy is powerful there. Reaching simultaneously downward and upward with your body. From here, right down into a bound lizard if you can, tucking your left arm underneath your left leg and either grabbing the floor or finding a bind, grabbing hold of right wrist or fingertips, doing your best to square your hips and your chest down. Heart stretches forward. This is a nice hip opening. From here, though, let's hop the right foot forward, headed toward Bird of Paradise. If it's too much to stay bound, you can always just grab hold of the inside of your left knee or shin. Balancing on our right foot, we find a focal point ASAP as we stand up tall and work toward the straightening of our left leg. Get spacious through your heart, the shoulders rolling back, tummy taut, a good straight right leg with the quadriceps engaged at least a little bit. Then set it all back down and head on into a standing split, hands to the mat. If you like to try it, you could tuck your left hand behind your left ankle and the hand would be outside your left foot. That's just an option. Enjoy the opening. Each time you're here, it's opening a little bit more. Set the back foot down. We're headed toward triangle. My left hip feels a little like a trick hip, so I'm skipping the bound triangle I almost went for and heading right toward good old regular triangle. Left fingertips to the mat. You might take it to block or shin. Right arm stretching high. Lengthen through your left side ribs. Be tucking your tail to your right heel. If you want to deepen this, take your right hand behind your head and enjoy that opening. Great place to find Ujjayi again, to reach for the edges of your breath. Then we'll square hips and bow over left leg, getting situated for rotated triangle. Stretch your heart forward before placing your right hand to the outside of your left foot and stretching your left arm high. Keep swinging your left hip a little bit back in space, but don't collapse down through your right hip. Keep the power and the lift there. Stretch your chest wide and engage at the upper back. Both hands down. Step the left foot back halfway, preparing for a few handstand hops if you choose, or maybe they're just baby hops. Maybe left knee hugs in towards your chest, or heel kicks the left butt. Maybe you catch a little air time. Maybe you fall a few times like I do. Maybe you hold a handstand the whole time, but enjoy wherever you're at. It's perfect. Ugh, I must be getting tired. Left foot down. Let's end up in Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Left fingers underneath left shoulder, right hip stacking, and right foot flexing, so we keep a lot of power in the lifted leg. You can imagine your right heel is reaching back on the mat. That'll shift weight into your left heel and lift your heart a little bit, so maybe you end up floating your fingertips. Landing in Warrior Two. Get situated and then open your arms wide to a T. Keep the tuck in your belly and your tail. Imagine balancing a teacup on your chest. And then swing it on back and hands to the mat for Vinyasa flow. Enjoying the edge of every breath. Never cheating yourself of the fullness of every single inhale and exhale. Finding your way to downward dog, then moving around to recenter. Let's start to prepare for a little bit of handstand play. So lots of energy between your arms, lots of weight to the inner hands. Step about a foot length forward. We're going to take little squat hops, kicking heels to butt. We don't have to be concerned with how high up we get, and just try to catch a little bit of control and slowly lower and to descend, landing as lightly as you can. Take 3 or so hops. If you can lift into handstand, fabulous. If you need a rest, that's fine too. And take in, I think, one more. And then slowly lower, chaturanga. And let's grab a child's pose. Release your arms at your sides so your shoulders have absolutely no responsibility. Let your weight sink heavy into the mat and breathe space into your back. You need to shake out your wrists a little bit. This is a good time. Otherwise, let light and gravity heal them. Let's prepare to go upside down again, this time in Headstand A. If you prefer to bring this to a wall, bring this to a wall. We'll interlace fingers, keep our elbows tucked tight, and then lift on up. Keep as much control on the ascent as you possibly can. If you've been hopping for a long time, maybe it's time to start shifting your hips so high you just end up drifting one leg up. You might have to hop less than you think you do. Keep the energy in your shoulders, distributing it up through your back, through your hips, even out through your toes to feel light. Then slowly, slowly descend, and we'll come back to a child's pose to take relief. A few breaths here. Let's find all fours now. Stepping the right foot forward. Take a second to tuck your tail and to keep some integrity at your core before you sweep your arms up for Anjaneyasana in as deep a back bend as feels safe for you right now. Explore the fullness of your chest breaths and maybe surprise yourself with the depth you find. And then we'll come forward. We'll plant the left elbow to the outside of the right thigh, hands into heart. Keep getting spacious in your chest here, feeding your left ribs to your right ribs. And then if you choose, you can tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Keep the power and the lift in this left leg and in your left hips. And then hop forward to twisted or revolved Utkatasana, either staying there or planting your hands on the floor and setting up for a little arm balance work, tipping into side crow, extending out, and then finding Kundinyasana 1, and back through. Stack your legs, bend your knees, side crow, and set it all back down for twisted Utkatasana, and then come back to center Utkatasana. Stand up tall, and exhale, dive forward. This time, plant your hands underneath your feet with fingers facing your heels. Take a second to stretch your heart forward, and then exhale, fold in deeply. Keep some activity at your belly and in your shoulders, lifting your shoulders away from your ears. Let your heart slow in this pose and tip some weight to your toes. And we'll extend the heart forward, fingertips on the mat. And then step or float through Vinyasa, meeting in downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, set your knees down and step your left foot forward. Climb up onto your thigh to tuck your tail and tip your belly towards your spine. Keeping the flatness of the low back, start to arch back a little bit. Lift your arms and see if the bend, the arch, can come mostly from right behind your heart. If you're in deep, let your head get heavy. And we'll slowly make our way back up. Last thing up is the head before we take a twist to our left, hooking right elbow outside left thigh, hands into heart. Lift your elbows wide and get spacious through your chest. If you like to, you can tuck your back toes and lift your back leg. And if you take that variation, resist the sagging in your right hip. Keep some power in your right leg and lift the right hip. Maybe you can gaze up and back. Looking at the floor, we'll step the right foot to meet the left in a twisted Utkatasana, either staying here and working the twist, it's quite good work, or planting hands on the mat for the arm balance sequence. It'll move from side crow to side crow with extended legs to Vinyasa 1. So take it in your time. If you need a little kickstand with your left elbow, you can kind of jam it into your waist. It's a good way to learn, but you don't want to rely on it forever. Do what you can do. Come out through Twisted Utkatasana, back to Centered Utkatasana, and Urdhva Hastasana, standing tall, palms touching overhead. Now we'll separate our feet as wide as the mat with toes splayed out slightly and kind of shaking everything loose before I head into insect pose. An insect is just a deep forward fold with pretty deeply bent knees so you can work your torso through your legs. If it's in your practice, you might be able to lift your arms and take your hands to your thighs or your butt. You're aiming for your low back and a bind there, eventually straightening out your legs. And do the best you can. As long as you find a pretty intense stretch of your hamstrings, you're doing the work that's to be done in this pose. Let's exit through Titibhasana if you know it. Hands to the mat, fingers facing forward. Lengthen your legs, lift your hips, engage the bandhas, that helps. And I'm going to try a Kundinyasana 2. Send my left leg back and then hop out into side plank. Stacking feet, lifting right arm up high. Hips so high, the bottom of the left foot plants on the mat. And we'll step the right foot to the right front corner of your mat. Set your back knee down. Straighten your right leg for half Hanumanasana. And then bend back into your right knee. And we can just kind of keep doing this forward and back until maybe you take full Hanumanasana practice if you choose. You can always stay in half Hanuman. It's such an intense stretch for your hamstrings. Once you find your way to Hanumanasana, maybe with the assistance of a block or a pillow underneath your thighs, take the time to shift around in a way that you know will help you make progress, whatever that means for you. One nice option is to tuck your left toes to try to send your left hip farther forward and better square your hips. I'm doing here what feels intuitively right. And then slowly come on out of it. We'll make our way right to pigeon, putting a bend in the right knee. Check on your hips, make sure they're square. Your left leg is an extension of your left hip. And if you like, try to interlace your fingers, lift your chest before folding forward. We won't stay too long here, but do enjoy. Find a release at your hips if possible, and keep a little flexion in your right foot if you can, just to protect your joints. I'll let you know and we'll come out. Alright, hands underneath the shoulders. Lift your chest and then swing your left leg around so we can take Janu Shirshasana. Right heel into groin. Take a second to sit up tall, get traction in your spine, swivel to face your left leg, and then fold down its length. If you're pretty flexible and want to give this a try, take your left fingertips wide of your left leg and push down into the floor. And that'll help leverage so that your right ribs sink down farther than your left ribs. You can even keep trying to send your left sitting bones out and wide behind you to find maximum length at your left leg. So every breath is progress. And sit on up. And then I'm going to try a kind of an Ashtangi swing back, hands to the mat, dip your chest forward, engage your bandhas, and pick your toes up and back before you step or hop through Vinyasa flow. And into downward facing dog. In downward dog, step your feet a little bit forward, getting ready for handstand play and little straddle hops. Shoulders above your wrists. See if you can kick up and then wide. And maybe not being so concerned with how high you get, but more with how much control you can find on both the ascent and the descent. Just going to play around, play around, play around. Maybe you catch some hang time. And then maybe you fall out like me. I think I never practiced without falling a few times. Maybe a lot of times. And keep the focus. Helps to look forward, I think. If your wrists get tired, just shake them out, take a break. And take a couple more hops. And then we're going to head back into insect pose, or just a nice deep mini wide-legged forward fold. Feet about as wide as the mat. And bend your knees to get in, but then ultimately straighten them out. So we're not headed there quite yet, but remember the exit is through Titibhasana. So you want to try to plant your hands as far back as you possibly can, squeezing your legs up onto your upper arms, pointing your fingers forward. It takes a little trust to rock back onto your upper arms, but once you're there, lift your toes up. Get mean about extending your legs out, lifting through your bandhas, and then if you want to try this exit to Kundalini 1, go for it. And then a hop out into side plank, stacking feet and lifting left arm this time. Hips so high you feel your right obliques engage. And hands to the mat and step your left foot forward. Let's ground our back knee. And then again, we're going to move from half Hanuman, and a half split, rocking forward and back, and maybe playing with full Hanumanasana, monkey king pose, or full split. Once you're there, rest atop a blanket or a block or a pillow. If you have the depth of the pose, the complete pose, and you want to play around with what feels intuitively good, go for it. And you can bow forward, you can try bending your back knee, grabbing that foot. Or maybe you're just holding at your depth and focusing on returning to a breath that is as easy and natural as breath would be in easy seat. It's nice to take the pelvic bandha where you're squeezing your left pelvic region toward your right pelvic region and vice versa. It's like you're bringing a lot of fire to the middle axis of your pelvis. And that'll have the effect of keeping some heat in your hips, protecting the joints, and helping you to square. A couple more breaths at your depth. And then we'll exit into pigeon, bending the left knee. Keep some flexion and energy in your left foot. Square up your hips, take a second. Maybe you can sit tall, lift your chest even interlacing fingers, squeezing your shoulder blades together. Look up. And then take your time folding forward. Enjoy your opening. Get a little bit heavy. See what you can let go of. And I'll let you know when we're coming out. We've got about a half minute. And climb up onto hands. Swing your right leg forward to set up for Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose. Fingertips on the floor to lift your spine, lift your chest, and then swivel to face your right leg before you fold over it. If you'd like that variation, take your right fingers wide of your right leg. Push down into the floor to help your left ribs down farther than your right ribs. To find even more depth, energetically move your right hip and sitting bone out and wide behind you. And then we'll come up. I'm trying my jump back, crossing ankles, palming the floor. I collapse my chest around my back to lift my bandhas, lift hips, maybe lift feet up and back before jumping back. Through Vinyasa flow, ending up at down dog. And more with handstands. Ready? Sweep your left leg high. Hop your right foot right between your hands and set yourself up for handstand play, keeping Hanumanasana, keeping a split if you can. Right leg low, left leg high. And the split action really helps you to integrate your core with your lower body and your upper body. Vinyasa flow. And we'll try it on the other side. Right leg lifts. Hop your left foot between your hands. From there, set up for your handstand play, a couple of hops or catch a handstand. Keep Hanuman when you're upside down. In other words, keep your left leg low. It will force a little bit of nice tail alignment. I want to iron out my arch so badly, and I'm kind of just not doing it there for sake of balance, I guess. But it's better than it would have been without the split legs. Vinyasa flow. And let's meet in child's pose. Hang in here for 2 or 3 long, slow breaths. Let's come back to downward facing dog. From dog, waving forward and coming right onto your belly to set up for Dhanurasana. Bent knees, grab hold of your ankles and kick back and up. Taking 6 or so nice slow breaths. You might tilt back and then tilt forward and find the middle. Your low belly, just the top of your hips on the mat. Opening your shoulders. Enjoy it. And then slowly release. Rest a cheek and rock out your hips. As we begin to set up for the second one, you can choose to come back to that same variation if you like, or maybe deepen by grabbing your inner ankles instead of from the outside. You can also be squeezing your knees toward each other a little bit. It just increases the challenge. Kick back, kick up, lift, lift, lift. Get spacious and enjoy. And then slowly release. Rest your other cheek. And if it feels nice, rock out your hips a bit. As we come out, we're going to set up for Bakasana, coming onto forearms, and then bending your right knee, grab the top of the toes. Let your fingers fly over the toes. And you could stay there, or maybe practice this kind of like king pigeon hold. Trying to touch your toes to your head, but any variation of this is work, and it's perfect. Recenter before you get the other side. Left knee bends, grab hold of the foot. Maybe your fingers pour over the tops of your toes. That's plenty to work on. Or if you prefer, grab hold of the outside of your flexed foot, like king pigeon, and lift up and back, aiming to touch toes to head. And then slowly release. And we'll come back to downward facing dog. From downward dog, walk to the top of your mat and sit super low as a counter pose for a few more back bends. I'll call my low seat squat katasana. This is somewhere in between. Just gonna round my back, let some healing happen at the low back especially. And then let's rock onto our backs, setting up for Urdhva Dhanurasana, or bridge pose, any back bend that you choose. Separate your feet hips width, point your toes forward, hands underneath your shoulders. And on your next inhale, pick up your hips, maybe set your head on the mat so you can resituate your hands before you stretch on up. And wherever you are, breathe huge breaths to your chest. Don't cheat yourself. Try to lengthen through your arms and dig right into whatever's tightening up on you. You can stay right here and come out when you need to. I think I'm about to play with some like hops over. Lift the right leg, hopping. You can do it or not. And then take a counter pose. You can hug your knees into your chest. Maybe take child's pose, happy baby. Do what you feel you need. And then in time, set up for a second back bend here. Any back bend of your choosing. I'm happening to be headed into headstand. I'm going to play with a back bend there. You could try it at the wall if you like, or right in the middle is great. I keep a little Hanuman, bending my left leg and my right leg, and helping the feet to the mat. You can try Ekapada, lifting one leg at a time if you like. I'm going to exit. Hands to the mat, coming right back to Urdhva Dhanurasana and tucking my chin. Hug knees into chest or take happy baby pose. Any counter pose that feels like it will heal you. Wherever you are, you can start to rock a little bit forward and back. Forward and back, coming up to sit with soles of your feet together, knees wide for Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose, folding forward. Let's get centered. I'm going to drink in some healing before I end in some Rajasic, yang, heavy type of handstand play. You can join me at the wall. You can skip this section entirely. I pretty much do a bunch of handstand play and then head into Shavasana after this. If you want to try some handstand playtime, Adho Mukha Vrikshasana playtime with me, go for it. This first one, I'm going to kick up and do another back bend. I'm going to try a scorpion handstand. This is also, of course, nice to do on forearms if you prefer. I'm learning that you need more engagement at your hamstrings than you even think to bend your knees a lot. You gotta kind of dare to dip your chest down pretty low, hips low, head high. Take some relief. And this is really your playtime, so whatever inversion you happen to be working on, this is a great time to practice it. If you want to stick with me, I'm going to just do a bunch of different types of things in handstand. Next up, practicing lotus. Padmasana handstand. It's awesome to do in headstand. Or if headstand is too tough to get, lotus and shoulder stand is the great way to learn it upside down, because you can always free a hand up to help your foot across. But just take snuggling, snuggling, snuggling the feet, and it comes, it comes, it comes. Be sure to take true rest in between. When I'm teaching my classes, I notice people trying to kick up when they're obviously just in need of like 2 or 3 more breaths to get recentered. It helps so much to have that kind of patience. Catch your breath, soften up, and then reset before you take more practice. And this time I'm going to stand at the wall, facing the wall, and try to drop back into full wheel and walk my feet up the wall, trying to catch a handstand as I kick out of wheel. But you can always, if you prefer, just sidle up next to the wall really close, get your hips up close before you take a wheel. You don't have to do the drop back in order to do this. And walk your hands up, kind of look forward, and slowly make your way toward handstand or just to Uttanasana, forward fold. And get the relief you need in between. Another alternative is just to hold an inversion here. Alright, despite being like tired, I'm gonna kick up into another one and play with, I don't know what, I guess just trying to straighten out, tuck the tail, suck the ribs in. But every practice has got to end somewhere. And take relief. Plow is really nice. Maybe hug your knees in towards your ears and squeeze yourself into a little ball. And I'm getting ready for yet more inversion play. So again, this is your practice, it's your inversion. Take what you're working on, but this is a really cool one for practicing the press. I'm going to walk really close up to the wall, get the back of my head on the wall, the back of my upper back on the wall, and just try to walk my toes in as close as I possibly can. I am using so much pressure with my head against the wall to lift my legs, and I think the straddle ends up being easier. And did that about 100 times before I actually felt any lift off whatsoever. You can continue to play with that or anything else. I'm going to get a strap here and do a little more press practice. So for this, you want a strap or a belt, anything that you can wrap around your arms to keep them pretty tight together. You want them just above your elbows, shoulder width, maybe just a hair narrower helps. Take like a downward dog with wide legs and squeeze your arms together. Wrap your shoulders into their joints. Roll your biceps forward, and you can just practice pouring the weight into your hands, looking a little bit forward, coming high on the tiptoes. More and more weight into your hands until one day, maybe you just take tiny hops to start, but you really want to get away from the hops eventually. I spend more time with the strap here than I do upside down. So I'm going to speed up the video for a little bit. But play with what you're playing with. I'm headed into Shavasana. So take any last movement your body is craving. Take a blanket, put socks on, get warm, get cozy, and then take up some space. Drop in. Feel supported by the earth beneath you. And let go, even of breath control. And I'll wake us up shortly. You can begin to breathe more deeply, bringing little movements back and making your way up to seat in time. With hands at heart center. Namaste, yogis. Thank you so much for watching.